Rabbi Stein, my friends, colleagues, and teachers, good to be back. It's my first public event since a little younger than a lot of people are getting vaccinated. It seemed late to me. It's wonderful to be back in person. Everybody here is in health, Baruch Hashem. So Rabbi Spivak was very generous with his time, with his learning. I want to talk about one little aspect that I think is even more important than that. Starting with a tshuva from the year around the year Shin, around the mid-1500s. Dayan in Krakow, Rav Yosef Katz, was discussing whether a Talmud has to show kavod to his Rebbe's Rebbe. He says, of course you have to. Just like the Gemara says, when a child is asked to bring water or something to the mother, to the father, who should he choose from? It's both kibbut avim, it's both deraisa. So the Gemara says to the father, because shnehem chayavim b'chvodo, both the child and the mother is obligated to honor the father. So too says Rav Yosef Katz, the Sheretz Yosef. He says also to the Rebbe's Rebbe, you're mechuyev to show kavod to this older Talmud Chacham. And you're mechuyev to show kavod to your Rebbe. Your Rebbe is mechuyev to show kavod to his Rebbe. So shnehem chayavim b'chvodo. Okay. So then you have to show kavod to the Rebbe's Rebbe. But he says it's not applied to a grandfather. Surprisingly, he holds like the Maharik, who holds there's no obligation to show kavod to your grandfather. Surprising. So why not? Why did you say shnehem chayavim b'chvodo? Because not every grandfather has reached the age of seva, or you have to show kavod to him. He could be younger. So if he's a younger grandfather, so yeah, you're chayav to show kavod to your father. Your father is chayav to show kavod to his father. But who says you're chayav to show kavod to your grandfather? Surprising. I mean, so who would dare not to show kavod to the grandfathers? And of course, it's common sense. You're going to show, but it comes up la halacha in two cases, at least two cases. One case is not so long ago in all Ashkenazi shuls, or almost all Ashkenazi shuls. Only one person said Kaddish at a time, which is why the Nusach Ashkenaz has a lot of Kaddishes. So everybody can get a chance. If you have a lot of Avelim, you have to split it up. And if there are not enough Kaddishes for everybody, the Rav has to decide who gets to say Kaddish. And the rules, the poskim bring rules. So let's say, Lo Aleinu, there are a lot of Avelim for fathers, brothers, children, all the terrible circumstances you could think of people saying Kaddish, and someone is saying Kaddish for a grandfather. So, does he get a space in the lineup or not? So it all depends whether he's actually if he's obligated to show kavod to his grandfather. Then yeah, give him a Kaddish to say. If not, I'm sorry, you can't say it. You can't say it. Also, this was a case that came up a local Lamaisa in the early 1700s, so Kuf approximately, where father unfortunately passed away. The mother was not stable, so the grandparents raised the child. When the grandfather was nifter, the grandson was going to say Kaddish, but the mother was mocha. She said, no, I don't give you permission to say Kaddish for your grandfather. So what does he do? If he's chayav to show kavod to his grandfather, so then yeah, he should say Kaddish. If he's not, then the mother has a right to say you can't say Kaddish. So that was the question. That's the question. Unfortunately, comes up too often. So the Rav Yosef Katz says, you're not chayav to show kavod to your grandfather. His brother-in-law, who I'm sure you've heard of, the Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserles, he disagreed. Rav Moshe Isserles, I'm sure you know, was married to the daughter of the Gadol Hador at the time of Shlomo Shachna of Lublin, but Lo Aleinu, in an epidemic, when he was 22 years old, his grandmother, his mother, and his wife all passed away in an epidemic in Krakow. So 22 years old, so he was a Rav of the capital of Poland. So his second wife was the daughter of a very rich Talmud Chacham, and his brother-in-law was the big Dayan in Krakow, Rav Yosef Katz. So Rav Moshe Isserles and the Rav Yosef Katz. So Rav Moshe Isserles disagreed, and he said, you are mechuyev to show kavod to your grandfather. How does he know this? So Rashi and Chumash. Yaakov, when he got to Beersheba, he was zoveach zavachim lelokei aviv Yitzchak, to the God of his father Isaac. Who instead, the God of his grandfather Abraham? Abraham was the great person who discovered HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So why would he say, okay, Zigno, Abraham? Why? Yitzchak? It says Rashi, it shows that you're mechuyev to show kavod, you're obligated to honor your father more than your grandfather. So from the language, what do you see? You are obligated to show kavod to your grandfather, but even more so to your father. Said the Ramah, therefore you're mechuyev to show kavod to your grandfather, you can say Kaddish for your grandfather. And he also had a pshara of dividing up the Kaddishes, not for now. Okay, so Halacha L'Maisa, 150 years later maybe, the Eliyahu Rabbah, early 1700s, so he writes in the end of his Pirush HaLevavos, Tshuva, where he says, he disagrees with the Ramah. I'm only bringing this because it's interesting, because who is his brother? His brother-in-law disagreed. His brother-in-law, the Shvus Yaakov says, my brother-in-law, Eliyahu Rabbah, says, doesn't agree. So the Eliyahu Rabbah brings a raya from Gemara Sota, document test. Rabbi Yaakov raised his grandson. Well, unfortunately, his son was not there. He raised his grandson. One time he asked his grandson to bring him water, and his grandson said, "You're not my father," and he refused. Strange in many ways. So Rashi says, he's not his. You're not my father. Therefore, I'm not obligated to show you that much covet. So the Eliyahu Rabbah said, you see from there, you're not obligated to show your grandfather covet. But his brother-in-law, the Shvus Yaakov, says, no, you're not obligated to show your grandfather that much covet, but he's still obligated to show your grandfather covet. So why am I mentioning all of this? It's a little strange, you would think. It's strange that, how could there even be a question whether you're obligated to show covet to your grandfather, but there's no question you're obligated to show covet to your Rebbe's Rebbe? Which is more obvious? Obviously, your grandfather it's a fact. You can take blood tests. I mean, it's a mitzvah. You can't argue with the fact that that's your grandfather. He brought one of your parents into this world, and that parent brought you into this world. And yet there's still a question. But when it comes to your Rebbe's Rebbe, there's no question. And it's not actually such a kasha because it's a Gemara. We know the answer is because your parents and your grandparents brought you into Olam Hazeh, but your Rebbe is bringing you into Olam Haba. And your Rebbe's Rebbe has a chilek in that. Without your Rebbe's Rebbe, your Rebbe wouldn't be here, and how would you get to Olam Haba? But if you reverse it around, I mentioned that I had a grandchild this past week, my third grandchild, wonderful simcha. But it gives me perspective. We're only here for a certain amount of time. And every child, every grandchild, every great-grandchild, the more people, the more Yidden you bring into this world, the more Kiddush Hashem you bring into this world. But even more so, the more, how many children can any person have? I remember someone who was in Nifteris a few years ago, a Holocaust survivor, who 1,000 descendants, and had a picture, it was in the newspapers, 1,000 descendants. Okay, good. You know how many Talmidim you can have? Many, many more. On the radio, you know how many Talmidim you can have? Tens of thousands, hundreds of, the internet, millions. So not only your Talmidim, you run a kollel, you get smicha, you train Rabbanim to go out there, they get the millions. How many do you have? The zechusim that you can have as a Rosh Kollel, it's just endless. Endless. Talmidim, and generation to generation. So the zechusim that Rabbi Yaakov Spivak had, using the technology, ahead of the curve, is just unbelievable. The people that he taught, they still have, the OU recently put online the Daf HaShavua that Rabbi Taitz gave in Yiddish decades ago. And there's still people learning from the Gemara Shurim he gave so long ago. Rabbi Spivak's all this information is on YouTube. I don't even know where everything is. It's just so out there that the chusim he already has, the chusim he has in the future from his Talmidim, generation after generation should be Omed Lahem, Omed Lo, and Lanu, as the Chos Ilu Neshama, the Shem should have an Aliyah, and should see him soon, the U.S. Gold said. Amen.